What's going on, people? It's your man the YB back once again. So I did a video on Fake Paul and Mike Tyson fighting. Just in case you haven't seen it, I want to show you, man. I want to leak to you some of the footage of Mike Tyson on the bag. Obviously, I wouldn't mind seeing some footage of Mike Tyson doing some sparring, to be quite frank, but this will do for now. And I'm sorry, but he just looks dangerous. Is he 57? Listen, people. In fact, let's play the footage. So, you see the footage there of Mike Tyson on the bag, and there's a few things to note here. In fact, let me try and see if I can get it up. Evander Holyfield, because Evander Holyfield was like 57 when he fought Vitor Belfort, and he got punched up, right? But Evander Holyfield had many hard fights, and he was very worn and torn by the time he got to the end of his career. So 20 years later, to come back again, he was finished. I mean, even Evander Holyfield had bag work, and people were saying he shouldn't be fighting. He looked slow, ponderous, he looked like he had neurological wear. Mike Tyson never had that many hard fights. He'd always end up on the floor, like against Lennox Lewis. He didn't get pounded, did he? He didn't have a hard fight with Lennox. He just kind of flopped on the floor. Mike was renowned for that, or the Holyfield fights. He wouldn't get battered, would he? He'd jack before he got battered. And that's something Teddy Atlas said about that. Mike might either won fights or he lost them in bad fashion. He never had to fight back to win, kind of thing. And I think that's helped Mike remain not as damaged. People with big hearts got whooped a lot. Do you know what I mean? Holyfield was having tough fights with people like Burt Cooper and gritting them out to come back and win. Mike didn't have them. Mike, if he was losing, would find a way out. Holyfield, too, for example, etc., etc. He says that he was being headbutted, but even if that was the case, I mean, at one point, I used to agree with Mike and say, Holyfield shouldn't be headbutting, but end of the day, man, it's a fight. Yeah, punch him hard, innit? If you don't like where his head is, punch it. Mike didn't want to do that. Mike wanted to bite his ear or whatever. So that has done Mike Tyson well. And you can see here, I said to you the other day, there's not many boxers at any weight who can hit the bag. Doesn't mean much, it's not a fight, but he looks damn good, man. Name me a fighter today who looks this clean on the bag. He's got no gloves on, which means that his kind of training is bone density or whatever. Floyd Mayweather couldn't do this. Floyd Mayweather at 35 couldn't hit the bag with no gloves on. He had to have his hands wrapped like big babies. So Mike Tyson, his bone density, something which is known with aging, is there. He's not like he's touching the bag. He's not drilling it completely, but he's exploding on the bag with bare knuckle. So he's serious. He looks sharp to me, I'm sorry. He looks sharp. His head's moving. Some people have said, he's walking with a cane. I don't see this dude walking with a cane. You can tell if the signs are there, like your back end. Most pro boxers' backs ain't as flexible as that. 25-year-old. I'm not saying Mike's 25-year-old. I'm saying that from what I'm seeing here, he's got enough to put a whooping on Jake Paul. I really do believe that. At 57 or not. Yeah, he doesn't look neurologically compromised. I mean, his cardio is never the best, but that's because he's so explosive. And, I mean, 3-4 years ago, he fought Roy Jones and looked good. Obviously, he's 3 or 4 years exponentially older now. I'm just not seeing it that obvious. Is it possible Mike gets in there and is a shade of himself? Yes, but Fake Paul isn't all that either, people. What's Fake Paul been doing? Really? Went life and death with Tommy. I'm sorry, people. I have to believe this Mike Tyson would walk through Tommy Fury. Also bear in mind as well, the weight difference here. Jake Paul will be soft at like 195 pounds. Mike Tyson's going to be in there 225. And he'll be a bit soft, as he was in the Roy Jones fight. But that's a 30-pound weight advantage. Mike's used to being hit off real heavy weights. Jake Paul isn't even legitimate cruiserweight. Jake Paul's more like a... Really, if Jake Paul was serious, he'd be a light heavy. He wouldn't be a Bridget weight. He wouldn't. He got too much softness. After cutting weight, Jake Paul would be a 175 pounder. But let's call it 180 pounds, right? Jake Paul's a legitimate 180 pounder. Mike Tyson's a legitimate 215er. So there's 30 pounds plus there. And I think adding in Mike's experience, I don't believe people. Roy Jones was in there, and Mike had no respect for Roy Jones. That's Roy Jones. Yes, he's old, but he's a real guy. Do you understand? Mike couldn't care less what Roy was doing. And I'm telling you now, Jake Paul couldn't trouble Nate Diaz in that sense. He couldn't put it on him. If you can't walk through Nate Diaz, what happens when Mike Tyson's in there and he bangs a left hook? That's the question I want answered. I don't care if it's 57. Yeah? Because there's prime boxers today who ain't looking this sharp. And I believe, given Mike's weight, his experience, and how sharp he looks, I can see him knocking Jake Paul out. I think Jake Paul probably quit. I think Jake Paul will get to like round 5 or 6 and realise, maybe not even that late, especially if Mike comes out on it after round 3 or 4. Jake Paul's too slow as well. One thing you'll notice here, even Tommy ain't all that, but he's quite quick. Jake Paul's slow and ponderous. Jake Paul's going to notice the speed and then the power behind that speed, I believe. He's going to notice and be like, oh, damn. Oh, kind of thing. One of them ones. Jake Paul looks good against journeyman. He has a close fight with Tommy, but there's levels, I believe. And if Jake Paul knocks Mike Tyson and spark out, fair play to him. Assuming, of course, like, I want to see if Mike looks decent. If Mike looks decent and then Jake Paul knocks him out, I'll give him full credit. If Mike looks like he's 70 years old, then he don't get no credit. But based on the evidence here, again, I wouldn't mind seeing Mike sparring. I think they should put out some sparring footage, at least to hype things up, and let's see where he's at. One of them ones. But so far, based on this thing here, I mean, he looked good, man. To me, he looks fluid. He looks like he's been training. And we know this anyway. Long before this fight got announced, Mike was always putting out periodic training footage that Mike has talked about on his podcast and told people that he does training now to help his mental health. He's training every day. So he's not coming off the bench like having sat around for 10 years sniffing La Coca. He's been in the mix. Obviously now he's got, 4 months as well. 4 months training camp to knuckle down. And that will only benefit Mike, I believe. Why? Well, Jake Paul's been in fights for the last 5 years. So he's always been in camp. Jake Paul having 4 months, he's always in camp anyway. So he's not going to get better. Mike Tyson, who's probably been training maybe once a day and not that intensely, will now go into an intense camp. Not too intense. If I was training Mike, you wouldn't want to overcook it because he's older. He needs time to recover. But the point is, Mike's only going to get faster and fitter now over the next 4 months if he's trained properly and has enough rest. Right? And if Mike Tyson knows that he can be knocked out by Jake Paul, his pride ain't going to allow that. Because Jake isn't good enough. This isn't a case of, like, I don't know, Mike Tyson versus Anthony Joshua or whatever, who's a big heavyweight himself. This is Jake Paul, who's a light heavyweight and not a good one. He's not like, for example, Mike Tyson versus Beterbiev. I'd worry about Mike. Mike Tyson versus Bivol. Bivol don't stop no one. I wouldn't worry about Mike, but you know what I'm saying? These are serious guys. Bivol could take Canelo shots and kind of laugh at them. So I'd worry about Mike there. But fake Paul, he can't bother Tommy. He put Tommy down, but Tommy wasn't bothered, right? He didn't beat Tommy up. I'm sorry, I can't believe, 57 or not, I can't believe, if you can't bother Tommy and beat Tommy up, and he didn't beat Nate up, didn't stop Nate. If you can't stop Nate, if you can't stop Tommy, I just can't believe you're going to stop Mike Tyson. That's the bottom line. Yes, Mike Tyson may be more hittable. Is he though? He'll be in front of you maybe, but Mike Tyson can box though, right? He might be in front of you, but he's not standing there with his chin in the air, Tyron Woodley. He does know how to defend himself. Mike Tyson had a great chin as well. He's never been knocked spark out. I've never seen Mike Tyson do the stanky leg. Okay, Buster Douglas, that was more exhaustion though, right? Jake Paul don't have the gas tank to exhaust Mike Tyson. Jake Paul's the one who gets gas. So yeah, listen, I'm hoping Mike Tyson looks good. And if Jake Paul's good enough to beat a good-looking Mike Tyson, fair play to him. I don't believe so. I'll be betting heavy on Mike to smoke his ass. Not a knockout, but I think he'll dominate from early on. The minute Jake Paul feels that power, which he will feel, is going to be like all of like all of Canelo's opponents are. They're all like, Jermell Charlo was like, got hit off the first left hook and was like, and these are seasoned boxers, people, right? Jake Paul's going up 2-3 weight divisions, and then he's going to be hit by one of the most explosive dudes in history of the game, having never been hit properly before. Tommy Fury did not hit him properly. Tyron Woodley did not hit him properly. Nate Diaz did not hit him properly. This is a real boxer. Yeah, if Canelo can shut down people who are real boxers, Jermell Charlo has been getting punched his whole life. Callum Smith's been getting punched his whole life, and yet Canelo went in there and touched him, and they're scared to death. I'm telling you, Mike Tyson's a real boxer. Even at 57, if he licks you on the arm with one of them left hooks, and you haven't been hit properly before, your whole universe is going to open up, and you're going to be like, oh damn. Yeah? And seeing Mike here, if Mike touches Jake with some of them combos there, he going to feel them. That's what I have to believe that. He doesn't look super slow. Again, I think he looks as good as any other real heavyweight does, right? If not better. I don't know. He just looks. Mike's always looked clean when he boxes. That's the truth. He looks clean. 57 or not, is he as quick as he was when he was 15? No, that's obvious. But he's quicker than Jake Paul. He hit harder than Jake Paul. He got better technique than Jake Paul, and all that experience as well. Mike Tyson can take a dig. He knows what taking a dig off a real boxer, top boxer's like. And Jake Paul is not that. I don't believe. Not quick enough. I think Jake Paul's shots as well will be... Mike Tyson will see them coming. But yeah, it's intriguing, that's for sure. Fair play to Jake Paul. I think this is a fight he can lose. Truth be known. But yeah, let's see what the betting odds are. In fact, let's have a look now. Let's have a look. I want to know. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson odds. I don't want to jinx it though. You might know my betting history hasn't been the best. I don't want to jinx it. Let's have a look here. I'm intrigued. Oh wow. Oh, stop people. Jake Paul is a huge favourite. Oh my god. I'm going to have to lose some more money on this then. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. You put a tenner on Jake Paul, you get 16 quid back if he wins. You put a tenner on Mike Tyson, you get 34, 35 quid back. I'm sorry, people. I'm doing it. I'm going to have to build some savings up and put a $1 down. I'm going to put 100 quid on Mike Tyson. I just can't believe it. Jake Paul's a heavy favourite. Fair play to them. Jake Paul wasn't as much of a favourite against Tommy, and I can't believe Tommy is better than Mike Tyson at this age or not. We've seen the Roy Jones Jr. footage. He didn't look that bad. Roy Jones was shook. And I believe Roy Jones at 57 is still better than Jake Paul now, if that makes sense. And that was... Mike knew it was an exhibition and whatever else. If this is a real fight where you can put money down, which is what it must be, Mike ain't coming to roll over. The only worry is, like I mentioned yesterday, Mike Tyson has dressed up in some zesty things. Is Mike Tyson selling out for the cabal? Yeah? That I don't know. And that would really... Well, it wouldn't surprise me, but if he ends up on the floor, sparked out in round 1, that's going to piss me off. That's my only hesitation here. I know, yeah, if Mike Tyson goes in there with no agenda, he's not being paid off to get knocked out in round 1, he's not selling his soul, it'll whoop Jake Paul's ass. The only question is, has Mike Tyson been paid off? Has he been told, Mike, jump on the floor in round 1 and you're going to pay you 30, 50 mil or whatever? That's the only possibility of Jake Paul doing something, in my opinion, if it's fixed. But yeah, having said that though, listen, the Nate Diaz fight wasn't fixed, was it? If the Nate Diaz could have been paid off and he could have jumped on the floor in round 1, right? He didn't. So why would Mike Tyson be paid off? That implies the fights are real. So yeah, let's see how it plays out. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, and let off the bell. 100%, no doubt about it.